All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to explore Friedrich Nietzsche's really demanding vision for what it takes to live a truly great life. And, spoiler alert, it has pretty much nothing to do with being comfortable or finding peace.
So let's just start with that big question. What makes a life great? For most of us, the first things that pop into our heads are probably happiness, success, maybe some comfort, or peace of mind. But what if the real answer was something completely different? For Nietzsche, the path to a great life wasn't paved with all that tranquil stuff. No. He argued it was forged in war. I know, it's a super provocative idea, and it pretty much challenges everything we think we know about living a good life.
Okay, so the first step on this path is all about understanding the true price of insight. Nietzsche was convinced that to create anything meaningful, you have to pay for it, and pay for it with something vital.
He puts it this way: write with one's own blood, and one shall discover that blood is spirit. Now, for Nietzsche, this isn't just some pretty poetry. What he's saying is that real creativity isn't a comfortable hobby. It's a payment, and it comes from your own life. It has to cost you something: your energy, your experience, your very essence.
And to really get this, it helps to know who Nietzsche was arguing against. He had this term, the lesenden Müßiggänger, which basically means the leisurely reader, the kind of person who thinks without any real skin in the game. For Nietzsche, that was a no-go. Knowledge had to be earned through life itself, not just soaked up comfortably from an armchair.
This brings us to a really crucial point. If insight costs blood, what does that actually mean? Well, for Nietzsche, it means suffering. He believed the creator doesn't just put up with suffering, they are a creator because of it. The struggle, that's the very source of their power. Let's just put it simply. You don't overcome suffering to get to the good stuff. For Nietzsche, suffering is the engine. It's the fuel that drives that creative will forward, the very thing that turns pain into power.
So how does this all build on itself? Well, if suffering is the engine, then it makes sense that we have to embrace conflict itself. We have to be willing to say yes to what Nietzsche calls war.
Now, when Nietzsche says, "He who renounces war renounces the great life," it is absolutely crucial to understand he's not talking about literal battles with soldiers and armies. This is a war inside yourself, the struggle for self-mastery, the fight against all those comforting lies we tell ourselves, and that intense drive to shape your own world.
To really get this warlike spirit, Nietzsche breaks down two types of morality. On one side, you have noble morality. It's this triumphant yes-saying to life, and it's rooted in strength. But on the other side, there's slave morality, which he says comes from weakness. It defines good as whatever is safe, and it calls anything powerful evil. As you can probably guess, Nietzsche was a big fan of the first one.
So what does this war actually look like? Well, for starters, it's a tool for spiritual renewal. It's about having a deep, impersonal hatred for lazy thinking and those easy, comforting illusions. It's the spiritual aggression of what he called free spirits. He even said you should love peace, but only as a way to prepare for new, more challenging wars. This brings us to the psychological heart of this great war. It's not just about struggling. It's about having the guts to face what's truly terrifying, our own comforting beliefs.
And here is one of his most vivid and kind of weird images. "I want goblins around me, for I am courageous. Courage that dispels ghosts creates goblins for itself." So what on earth is he talking about with ghosts and goblins?
The Gespensters, or ghosts, are all the illusions we cling to. They're the shadows of old values, the comfort of dogma, the fear of actually thinking for ourselves. Basically, they're the anxieties that paralyze us and stop us from living that great life.
And this is where it gets really radical. Nietzsche basically equates error with cowardice. To cling to a comforting belief just because it feels good, to hide from a difficult truth, that, in his book, is a failure of courage. So the first act of this war is to get rid of these ghosts.
So what happens when the ghosts are gone? You don't find some quiet, peaceful existence, no way. You create kobolda, goblins. These represent a new, vibrant reality. They're playful, they're mischievous, maybe even a little malicious. They embody this joyful acceptance of life's chaos and danger, and they're born from strength, not from fear.
So, let's tie this all together. We've seen how suffering, war, and courage are all absolutely essential parts of Nietzsche's vision for a great life, and they all build up to one single, powerful act of affirmation.
You can see the whole journey laid out here. It starts with enduring suffering, not running from it. Then you harness that suffering. You use it as fuel for your creative will. That will gives you the strength to wage a war on your own illusions, which, let's be honest, takes a ton of courage. And finally, through that whole entire struggle, you achieve a great life.
So the ultimate reward for this really difficult path, it's not happiness or peace, not in the way we usually think about them. It is a resounding yes to all of existence, a total affirmation of life, embracing not just the joy and the beauty, but the struggle, the pain, and the fear as well. He had a name for this, the Dionysian spirit. And that leaves us with a personal challenge, doesn't it? Nietzsche's philosophy demands that we look inward and apply these ideas to ourselves. So the question isn't just some abstract philosophical thing, it's a call to action. What ghosts, what comforting beliefs or paralyzing anxieties are you afraid to face?